Chilling with the girls. With the girls. With the girls. With the girls. Chilling with the girls. With the girls. With the girls. With the girls. Chilling with the girls.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chilling with the Girls. We are excited to have with us tonight none other than attorney Paulette Lundy, who has 20 years of experience as an attorney, probably a little bit more, but she has so much knowledge and so much information. And she is the founder of the Lundy Law Group, LLC, a law firm that's located in Columbia, Maryland. And she has served in several legal capacities, both in New York and in Maryland. So throughout her entire legal career, she has helped thousands of family members, friends, and clients, and to legally design an estate plan that meets their needs and the needs of their loved ones. Everybody, let's give attorney Paulette a Chilling with the Girls welcome.
Well, thank you, ladies. It's so exciting to be here with you today. Thank you for the invitation. I love what I do, and so I give. I'm grateful to talk about it any chance that we get.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes.
So our topic for today is talking about will and testament and also trust.
Yes.
The first question I would have is, what is the difference between a will and testament and a trust?
Sure. So a will is, both documents are the documents that you would need in order to transfer your assets or your legacy to another person. However, they are processed differently. And so a will has to be processed in probate court, which is the public court process, where your family or your loved ones would have to go and file a petition, give the will if there is one, or just file the petition and say there is no will or anything else. And then the court, the Register of Wills and the Orphans Court, will decide who will be the personal representative, who would be the beneficiaries. There's a whole scheme of who will be a taker from that person's estate if it's not written in the will. However, a trust is a will substitute. So if you have a will, you wouldn't necessarily have a trust, but we're going to talk about a type of will that the trust actually works with. Or if you have a trust, you won't necessarily have a regular will. And so it's kind of either or. And I tell people, if you have a choice, go for the trust because of all of the benefits that it provides. We can talk about it some more, but a will only works after you die. But a trust helps you during your life in many ways.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's great information. Go ahead, Timon. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. So I know that it's kind of costly, to get a will. So what is more costly? Is it a will or a trust?
So the funny part about it is that a will could be cheaper today than a trust. Okay. Mm-hmm. But a will cost you so much more. What I mean by that is, people may charge, a couple of $1,000s for a will or a will package, and they may charge a little more for a trust. But a will, after you create your will and then you pass on and your family now has to take that document to the Register of Wills or the Orphans Court, then there are many other fees and other expenses that can come out of that process. You will have to pay a fee to the court. You will have to pay possibly a fee to the personal representative. If you get an attorney to help you administer the will, you're paying a fee to the attorney. If there are assets that are left behind that need to be appraised, you're paying a fee to the appraisers. And it could be for the house as well as for jewelry, as well as for art. People are collectors. And so if you want to, if the personal representative is tasked with the responsibility to sell the assets, you need to know what is the value. What's the value for those assets? So all of those are fees. But let's talk about the two big ones. The two big fees come from the personal representative and the attorney. they are entitled to 9% of the first $20,000 and 3.6 of anything above that. So I like to do easy math. $1 million estate could be a $37 check for the personal representative and a $37,000 check. Did I say thousand the first time? 37,000 for the PR and 37,000 for the attorney. So you're giving these two people all of this money to, get your affairs in order after you've passed. And that's just part of it. So when you file the petition in probate court, everything sits for 6 months to allow claims to be filed against the estate. So if a claim is filed against the estate for $800,000, you have to determine as the PR, is it legitimate? Should I pay this? Is it really owed? And then if you think it's not legitimate, guess what you have to do? You have to fight. And so what you do at that point is you probably have to hire either another attorney or the same attorney is now, racking up hours trying to defend that claim. Now, it could very well be that it works, but so I tell people you have to weigh the costs. So if you have a claim, let's say for $500 and you're like, oh, I'm not paying it, I don't think that it should be paid. Well, how much are you going to pay to defend that particular claim?
Right.
Now, of course, you have to protect the estate and not pay frivolous claims, but you have to determine, am I going to hire an attorney for $300, $400, $500 an hour to defend against that $500 bill? Or am I going to just let it ride? So those are considerations, but those are examples of expenses that could come up in a probate process. Whereas for a trust, you establish your trust and it creates, number one, individuals and or processes that could kick in upon you becoming incapacitated. So remember I said a will only works when you die, but a trust can help you if you become incapacitated. We don't even need to talk about 2020 and what happened then, right? We also don't even need to talk about how illnesses just befall us from nowhere. And all of a sudden today we're laughing, tomorrow we're bedridden.
Yeah.
So you need someone who will be able to help you. A trust will identify someone and create a parameter for that person to jump in and start helping you with your bills, your mortgage, making sure that your checks are being paid because you have all the sick time. But it also helps to establish death beneficiaries. So upon your passing, your beneficiaries can be takers from your trust, but it won't have to go through that public court process like probate. And there's no waiting period. I tell people the longest waiting period sometimes in a trust case could be getting the death certificate and just understanding everything that you have and galvanizing everything and putting it in one account so that you can make sure that you have everything and you pay in debts, and then you can do the distributions according to the tenets of the trust. So the timing is so different, but that also lends itself to the cost. You may be paying less now for your will, but you're going to pay more later when your family is administering the will. And so when your kids, your spouse, when they think that they're going to get XYZ, no, they're getting negative XYZ. And so the cost, people look at the cost and say, oh, that's too expensive. You better weigh the entire cost.
Yeah.
Not just the cost of the two documents. Weigh the entire cost. And that is what we're not doing. We're not looking at the entire picture. We run with one little piece of information and think that it's kind of the deciding factor, but it's really not.
We had no idea though, because you see on TV they were like, oh, we got a will and we're going to give you this and that, and they got their personal attorney, the family attorney. You don't even see the appraisers and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was just plain and simple. My mom would have a will, and then she say, then we come together, read the will.
Yeah,
man.
That's the biggest lie. I mean, never read the will ever since I started practicing. There's no reading of the will, because what happens is that when you have the will, you can't read the will to the people. You better give it to probate court first, and it needs to be either sealed or protected. And then after that, only the beneficiaries, it's a public court process, but you're really working with the personal representative to make sure that the respective beneficiaries get what they need to get. But we're not having we definitely are not having a family meeting in here, because I have seen too many families just really go at each other's throats because they think that they were entitled, or mom told them that she was giving them the house, but it's written here that she says she's giving it to XYZ. Well, no, I spoke to her yesterday. Doesn't matter. If mom wanted to change her mind, it had to be memorialized in order for it to be legal.
Right. Wow.
Well,
So
TV
a lot of families-
is a liar. They lie on TV.
They lie.
That is
That dynasty.
They make it look so attractive, Paulette. They make it look so attractive. Oh my goodness.
Listen, I honestly think
clueless.
that it is part of, I don't want to say it's a conspiracy, but I'll just say that it is part of a system that is not designed to help.
wow.
And so what happens is that everybody gets a piece of the pie before your loved ones get the crumb. You know, that little piece of cheese that fall off. It is good, but it just falls off on the pizza.
Right.
And that's what your people get left. You know, that little piece that fell off the cheese, and everybody else is getting a nice hefty piece with good crust and good sauce, and everybody else is benefiting except the individuals who need to benefit.
That is terrible.
It's like they have these elaborate funerals because they think they're getting so much money, and then they put the money into the ground thinking they have more money, and they didn't find out later on they don't even have anything.
They don't even have it. The sad part is they don't have it, thinking that this insurance policy is going to cover the funeral that you're having. That's more like, you know, an estate kind of celebration. And I understand homegoings are, you know, we want to love on our families, but we have to make wise decisions. You know, as people of God, we're stewards over everything that the Lord has given to us. So we don't need to make a show, but we also need to make sure that we're doing the right things for our family members and our loved ones.
Right.
Wow. So the power of attorney and the trust, is that similar? What's the difference between the power?
They're two different things.
Okay.
So the power of attorney is a document. There's either the power of attorney, which is a durable financial or a durable medical power of attorney, and they help during the individual's life. They help that individual if they were to become incapacitated, or just, for instance, you could create a power of attorney if you're leaving the state or the country and you want to give someone authority to do something on your behalf. So it could be a full power of attorney where that person will have the ability to do anything for you, or it could be a limited power of attorney for a particular transaction or for a limited period of time. But that is a document that just gives someone the ability to do something, a transaction, just to make sure that things are being handled during your incapacity. But a trust is a much larger thing. It incorporates the incapacity. However, it deals with being able to transfer your assets. You know, we think sometimes that leaving a legacy is only financial. You can leave a spiritual legacy. You can leave a financial legacy. You can leave a legacy of intellectual property. There's so much in our legacy. You know, when we are on listening to TV and they say he left such a rich legacy, they're not talking about money. At that point, they're talking about reputation, social legacy. He did this, he did that, he established these homes, he helped these children, she did this, she did that. That's social, that's interpersonal, that's personal. But then there's the intellectual. You may be a person who writes books, or you may be a person who does a lot of things to educate people. That's a different type of legacy. Or it could be spiritual. You know, the farmer family is leaving a spiritual legacy. Straight, you know, we don't even need to question that, right? And then it's the financial. So sometimes I think people need to look at financial as the least important legacy. Or you know what I mean? Because we lose family history, we lose family tradition. Money is money. In fact, you give a person who's mentally poor in their mind and their habits money, they're going to be mentally poor in their mind and their habits with money. So getting, you know, an inheritance is not going to make them a better person. In fact, I think Elder Sean and my husband would say it best, that it magnifies who they are and what they do. And so, you know, before they couldn't spend foolishly with a lot, but they spend foolishly with a little, and now they're going to spend foolishly with a lot. And so the trust is, you know, totally different. But, you know, there are so many strategies for children or loved ones like that that if you know that they are not responsible, a trust allows you to put instructions in that trust about that particular person so that they don't squander it overnight and then end up homeless, especially if you were their caregiver or you were the breadwinner and that other person was not necessarily producing as much. You can put instructions in there. You can set timetables as to when they receive something. So a trust for me is just awesome to help families to do what they would like to do. I call it a blank, canvas, and just draw whatever picture you want. And
That's
it's awesome.
So we need to. So how young do you have to be to have a trust?
Yep.
Mhm. So how young do you have to be to get a license? 18
Huh.
years old, right? Well, you can get a what they call it, a provisional permit or whatever, but you become an adult at 18. I did not let my children walk out the door to go to school without giving me some documentation, because I laugh. I said, yeah, I could give my check to the school, but when I called to say, how is my child doing? They can't talk to me all of a sudden, but you could take my money freely, but you can't talk. So you need to have certain documents in place as soon as those kids turn 18, because tomorrow's not promised for everybody. And so we have had students, family, friends who coming back from a game, coming back from a party, a crash ensued, 2 died, 1 lost his legs. They were football players. So, the parents now can't necessarily get information. I got a call on the phone the other day. A mother said her son was acting weird and he left the house and now he's in the hospital and they won't talk to her because he's 21. And all they said is there was marijuana in his system, but she doesn't understand. Is that the cause? What happened? And so she's asking me what to do. And I'm explaining to her that he doesn't have the mental capacity to give you power of attorney. Wow. And so you could be looking at a guardianship which is thousands of dollars more, and it takes longer.
Wow.
So I say age 18. As soon as those kids turn 18, start looking at the documents that you need to put in place. They may not own anything, so you don't necessarily have to have a big trust or a will or anything like that, but you at least have the medical, the financial powers of attorney, and an advanced healthcare directive.
Wow.
At least.
You need guardianship for your own child after they turn 18?
Yes.
So let me say the guardianship comes in if, let's say, someone leaves some kind of monetary gift to a child. A minor cannot inherit money. So you know how at work our life insurance policies say, to this person as primary and then to the kids as contingent, or to the kids if they're not married. Well, if they're under 18, they can't inherit that money. So either that money sits at the life insurance company until they turn 18, or someone, even if it's the other parent, has to go and get guardianship for their own child over the property.
Wow.
To get it, because now it's their property, but they're too young to hold it. So you have to go and get the court's permission to take that property. And then you have to file documents with the court to show how you are spending it. Talk about invasion of my privacy and my life. But if we know this, we'll do different.
Yeah.
Right.
If we know this, we'll do better. And
we have to beat the system.
We have to beat them at their own game.
At their
You
own
have
game.
to pay for all of that, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. And if you don't have the money up front to do it, nobody's going to say, I'll do it and wait until you get paid to do it. I can't go to my staff and say, as soon as we get paid next month, next week, next year, I'm going to give you your pay. I can't do that. I have quite a bit of staff members here. And when we work for a reason. People leave their families for a reason and to come to work every day. So you now have to find that money to hire an attorney to do that work, or try to do it yourself. And it could be confusing, hard, and you can do something wrong.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What about common law? Does a trust protect someone that's not legally married, but they're common law? Does a trust protect them in that situation?
So it will only protect to the extent that that person is listed and named as a beneficiary. But for Maryland, that doesn't work here. There's no common law here so we have had calls that says, I have been living with my partner for 7 years. He just died. Am I entitled to anything because he's still married?
No.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of things wrong with that, but But if we're talking about the money, no, you are not entitled to anything. So unless you have what we call by operation of law, there is some connection between you, that person, and an asset like a home. Let's say the two of you purchased a home together and both of your names are on the home.
Right.
Then you, if depending on how it's titled, with rights of survivorship, you will then get the entire home. But if that's not the case, then it will go to that person's heirs if there is no will. But if there's a trust, then it will go to whoever they have identified. And it could be, that person that is their common law loved one.
So that's just, we already know.
So-
We were talking about,
So
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So like say if the person, like we were saying, is common law, right? And they were married, right? But they, in the trust, they left the stuff to the person who they were common law with. And they weren't married. So the married people
The married people are out. And yes. So a trust allows you to choose who you want. But if it were to go to probate court, then the spouse. So let me put it to you this way. Let's say you had a will and you tried to leave your spouse out and to give it to your lover or whatever the case.
Exactly.
You've been separated, you went on with your life, but you didn't get a divorce.
Right.
Well, here's what happened. The law allows the married spouse to elect a share of that estate as high as a third, and some jurisdictions a half of the estate. There's a flat fee first, and then they could get up to a half of the estate. And so whoever you've left to get something, you just cannot disinherit certain people. And so I tell people, if you're finished with the relationship, be done with the relationship in its entirety. Don't leave, strings hanging behind that could cause somebody else to still be attached to you. Cut the umbilical cord and move on and do it correctly. I think it was Barry White who was married and left and had, children with another woman, I think almost 8 kids. And when he died, the mother of the 8 kids got 0. Meanwhile, the wife who he was estranged from and left years ago got everything.
Wow.
The children got nothing?
Nothing. Because you got to remember too that the spouse would get things first, and then the children would get something. But it all depends on the state also that you're in, because the laws of intestacy will dictate who gets what, and what portion or what percentage. But the reported account of that is that she got it all.
Wow, that's incredible. That is incredible.
It's sad. It's pretty sad.
So I guess the only way to avoid probate is to have a trust.
Absolutely, to have a trust. And then there are some other things that you can do. Beneficiary designations are powerful. And so if you have, let's say you have a property and you said, I don't want, all I have is a home. I don't have anything else, no money, no whatever. And I want to leave that home to my family. You could do something that's called a life estate, where you still own it for the life, for the, while you're living. And then upon your passing, it will go to the remainders, the people you've identified. So that's a life estate. So there are ways to kind of work around, but I tell people that's just one thing. I tried to pay a cable bill for my mom, and I couldn't do it because they didn't have my power of attorney on there. So they couldn't tell me how much the bill was. They wouldn't even take the money. I was like, I'll just give you some money. They wouldn't take it. So I tell people, don't think that just doing a life estate or doing a beneficiary designation would cover everything in every aspect of your life. There could be some things that come up that will require some authorization in order for that person to take care of it on your behalf. And that authorization is either going to come from the documents in the trust, or it's going to come from you going to court. Sometimes people have had just one account that didn't have a beneficiary designation on there, and they had to go to probate court to later find out that account only had $195 in there, but you just paid thousands of dollars to start the petition.
Wow.
Lord Jesus.
That is crazy.
It really is.
They're not allowed to tell you how much is in there, right?
Unless you find some documentation, like a last statement, You don't know what's in there. You just know, and you're hopeful. You like, mama left me some money in that account. I'm
Right.
you're hopeful. You like, mama was not giving her money to anybody. So there must be something in that account.
Oh my goodness.
It may or may not be, you may hit big and there are times where you may not, but you've spent a whole bunch of money to get nothing.
Wow.
Or
That's
nothing
incredible.
significant. You don't even break even.
Yeah.
That's
So
incredible.
now
Can
what
you
if-
explain? Oh, go ahead, Mom.
But what you have a will,
Mhm.
then you want to change it. Do you have
Mhm.
to go back to that same attorney, or could you change it with another attorney?
You can go and change it with another attorney, but you want to make sure that the minute you decide that you want to make changes to your will, that you do it and you do it correctly. Because unless you want to just add something, delete something, you can do a codicil, which is basically, an amendment, if you will. But there are times where people want to do significant changes to their will, and they don't want anything in the old will to really be there. And so you want to make sure that if you create any later wills, that it revokes the prior will, so that we're not in court trying to figure out, well, which is this person's real last will and testament.
Okay.
And we can't guess and say, oh, I know this is what he wanted, because if it's not executed properly and legally, then it will fall back to the old will. And if there are many things in that old will that he or she didn't want, then that's a problem. But if there are discrepancies and that will is considered revoked, but then you can't really implement the entire new will, it's just a lot of havoc that could be wreaked as a result of that.
So the date doesn't even matter. Like if you did an amendment later on, it's a different date. So you wouldn't take the latest
date.
The
date.
later will. It
Right.
depends on if it was done legally, and legally means that it has to be properly signed, witnessed, and
Notified.
attested to. Yes.
Yeah.
And so if you don't do it correctly, then it didn't
Then
really
it's
take effect.
void.
Wow.
No.
So you were talking about a personal representative. What are their roles? What's the role of them?
Sure. So a personal representative or a PR, or there's the other word as an executor or an executrix.
Okay.
That's the person who will make sure that the things that you've written in your will come to pass. They'll handle your affairs. They'll make sure that your accounts are closed, your assets are moved, whatever you said to do in your will, they're the ones that have to make it happen. So they're the ones that will galvanize your assets, secure them, and then distribute them according to your will. So they work as you, if you will. They take on the role of the decedent and making sure that everything that you stated is done.
Okay.
And they protect the estate.
Oh,
Now you
cool.
talk about claims. Would that be the bills you leave behind once you're gone?
So there are bills that you leave behind that just are bills. There's the envelope on the desk or on the table. That's a bill. But in order for it to become a claim, the bill you still owe. But in order for it to become a claim, they need to file it against the estate. And at this point, they're not just waiting for you to be nice to pay it. They're saying, I'm putting in my hat in the ring so that I can get a piece of the pie, because this money is owed to me. So I want to make sure that I bring my bill in front of the court so that the court can make a decision as to whether or not I should be paid. Because if the personal representative says, I'm not paying this, I'm going to reject it, the claimant who filed the claim can now go to the court and say, Your Honor, I want you to process this claim. And that's how Medicaid, I think I shared with you guys earlier, that's how Medicaid got their claim approved, because it was rejected because there was not enough money to pay this claim that was double the value of the one asset in the estate. And so they went to court and they said, listen, this woman was sick. She applied for Medicaid. We gave her coverage. We paid for her to be, either in the institution or at home. We gave her a caregiver for 12 hours every day, 5 days a week. We gave her, pull-ups and Insure and all of these equipment. You're entitled to money. And she was really good, because what she said was, we need this money so we can help other people.
Wow.
And so what did the judge say? Approved. And so they were able to get a claim for a lot of money approved in light of the fact that the estate did not have all of that money. So either at that point, they get what they get and they stick around and see if anything else comes up, or they settle and agree to what they will get in comparison to other people. But it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, that's horrible.
They sound like vultures or something. Like
It
this.
really is.
Like
It
they just
really
flying
is.
around waiting,
Yeah.
preying on people.
Yeah, I didn't
But
think.
you know,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mom.
I have a question. I heard years ago, if you put a claim in the newspaper and say nothing goes to like my ex-wife, something, nothing go with, if you put
No,
a claim-
but I'm glad you brought up a newspaper, because that's one of the things that has to happen when you file your probate petition. So you file the probate petition with the court. It gets posted in the newspaper for about 3 weeks. And
I heard
that's
that.
how the claimants get to know that this estate is open. Trust me, somebody right now has a job to monitor the newspaper to see, all the obituaries and to see who filed, a petition. And then all of a sudden you get those legitimate and illegitimate claims against the estate. So to the extent that something is posted, Mom, all I know is that you must post for 3 consecutive weeks. And so they don't even trust that you're going to do it. You have to submit your document and your money, and the Register of Wills does the posting for you. And so it gets posted in the newspaper. And so from that point on, in Maryland, there's that 6-month clock that starts to tick. And so if you are a creditor of the decedent, the person who passed, and you file your claim 6 months and 15 days later, it could be rejected, and you'll have to go to court to say, well, Your Honor, this happened and I couldn't get it in on time. But there's, the statute of limitations can preclude that claim from being paid. But at the same time, if you know who the creditors are and you serve them, they only have 2 months to file their claim if they get served personally. So that's where that's one of the ways where I feel like theft occurs, because now people know that there's an estate file. They want to know, well, what's in it, and then they're going for the jugular. So there is a newspaper posting, Mom, for a different reason.
That's incredible.
Oh, I thought the newspaper's posting was for the person who's sick or the person that's going to die.
It's for the person who died. At least the one that I know about. I'm not sure about what you're referring to, but it's based on the fact that the person has passed and an estate administration has been open on behalf of that person. So that's, you could be talking about something totally different, but that's not part of this process.
And see, we have to love our family enough that we get our stuff in order before we pass, because listening to you, it'll be so much trouble. You already lost your loved one. They don't even care that you're already grieving and you can't think straight because you're broken at this point, and they coming after you to take everything you have. It's insane.
I have a woman who said
plus if you don't have anything.
Say that again, Mom.
It sounds like it's a plus when you don't have anything, because I lost my mother and my father.
It could be.
I didn't have to go through any of this. It's almost like a plus when you poor.
Yeah, tell me about it. It sure is. I was going to say to you that I had a client and she gave a testimonial that she went out on Saturday with her daughter, who they adopted, and left her husband home, fine as far as she was concerned. 2 hours, came back, he's dead on the chair. She said for 2 years she was in a fog, and she knows that she made bad decision after bad decision.
Yeah.
But what occurred later is what really was so heartbreaking. He was the breadwinner. So she said he made 75% of the income in the family. He had a home that he kept saying, I got to put your name on the home. He didn't do that. Assets that, I got to do this, didn't do that.
Right.
Life gets in the way. We cannot let life get in the way.
Yeah.
And so I tell people that a comprehensive estate plan is like a carefully crafted love letter to your loved ones. You say you love me, give me an estate plan. I don't want anything else. And I tell people around this time of year, we're running out doing this and doing that. The best gift that really does keep on giving is an estate plan for your family.
Wow.
Bottom line, hands down.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now, how do you do that? How do you put together an estates plans?
Sure.
What's the process?
Sure. Stay off of the internet. That's number one. You know, we want to be doctors on the internet. We want to be lawyers on the internet.
Self-diagnosis.
Oh no. Yeah, no. Stay off the internet. Do not do it yourself. You know, we won't. I heard my husband say, you're not gonna come, you know, you're not gonna do a surgery on yourself. So why try to be an attorney for yourself? I think if they say the attorney who has himself as an attorney, I don't even know the statement, but don't be your own attorney. Is a fool. Exactly. The person who has himself as an attorney is a fool. Right. So call an attorney, you know, call an estate planning attorney and say, this is what I'd like to do. And I tell people, find someone that you're comfortable with, that you can say, you know, this is what I have going on. This daughter is doing this. This daughter is doing that. This son is doing this, because those facts are important for us to hear so that we can tell you some options that you have to ensure that you can accomplish your goal the best way possible and make sure that everybody would be okay. So you go and you talk to an attorney, and then you start to give him or her the information that they need so that they can give you options or recommendations. And then after that, you and that attorney will work together to create your estate plan. I wish I had, let me just scoot over here.
Okay. Somebody asked about the best way to trademark clothing. Like, we're talking about.
That's a whole different session.
Going for that one.
Yes. So this is what an estate plan looks like. So this is a small binder, right? And in here has all of the documents that one needs. So all of these little sections. So this is how I edit, and we make sure that it has everything that, you know, the individual wanted to include. They have the trust in here. It has the power of attorney, the advanced healthcare directive. So I mentioned earlier that the trust has a type of will. It is called a pour over will. And the reason why it has a will is because after you create your trust, you have to do something called funding. And what that is simply is transfer your assets into the name of the trust. So my home was purchased by myself and my husband. So Troy and Paulette Lundy. So if we got the trust and we wanted to put our home in the trust, we would have to create a new deed that says Paulette and Troy Lundy give this home to Paulette and Troy Lundy, trustees of the Lundy Trust. So we're still the owners of the home, but upon our passing, the trust actually now has ownership, as opposed to somebody going to the court to get approval.
Right.
And they will be able to give the home, the trustee will be able to give the home to whomever we've left it behind to be given to. Either the home goes to the kids, or the kids have the ability to sell it and get the money and split it. But that's called funding. So you'll do that with your home, your checking and savings accounts. You will go to the bank and say, hey, I created a trust, changed my checking account into the name of my trust. So all this is doing is creating a framework and a process that you then would leave behind for your family to be able to, you know, just ensure that your assets and all of your legacy is properly transferred to whomever you've identified as having it to be transferred to.
Okay.
So funding is really important, because I tell people, if you don't fund your trust, you have just purchased a very expensive pack of paper.
Wow.
Last time I looked at Walmart or Amazon, a pack of paper was less than $10. Why would you want to pay thousands of dollars for paper that you can get for 10? So it's imperative that you fund your trust after you create it. Now, there are some attorneys who create trust plans for people, send them a letter and say, go fund it. We fund the home. We will not let anybody do the home themselves. We fund the home, and we give them instructions for each asset that they have, line by line. You can do this with that. These are your options. And then I tell people, I plan to stalk you, so get ready. Because what I don't want is for your family to come back and say, you didn't do X, Y, Z.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
if you're going to do this, we're going to do it correctly. And if you don't have time to do it, then give it back to me and let me and my staff handle it for you. But at the end of this day, we want your plan to work when your family needs it to. Bottom line.
Yeah. Wow.
I have a question. Because I was told that if you get a house, you know, like a nice house, you should get an extra insurance policy to cover the expense of that house in case something happens.
Mhm.
It's already paid for, and your name is on it, and you have your beneficiary on that policy.
That is
That's
a perfectly wonderful thing to do. You can definitely get an insurance policy that will help to cover either the payment of the home or taxes that have to be paid. So that is a smart thing. And so Mr. Lundy actually is an insurance agent, and he helps people to get insurance policies while they're able-bodied to be able to cover either their loved ones and or taxes, assets, an insurance plan if you become incapacitated, an insurance plan if you you get a diagnosis of something. We have to be covered, and it's not just one thing that does it. It's a conglomerate of a number of things, and we have to make sure that this picture and this puzzle, all of the pieces of the puzzle, are filled in appropriately so that you can be fully covered in every area and aspect of your life.
Right.
And the best time to do that, I'm thinking, is when you're young and when you're
Yes.
healthy. But when you get sick,
Absolutely.
sometimes it's hard. And when you get elderly, it's more expensive.
So possibly you can't purchase it. So if you're elderly with illnesses, you can't get it. If you're young with illnesses, you can't get it. So there's an age after which you cannot even buy insurance. Period. So you have to definitely do it when you're young and healthy. And to be honest with you, I would implore every parent to get a policy for their children even before they turn 18. And when they turn 18, if they're responsible or later, you can say, hey, I'm turning it over to you for you to pay for it and keep it. And that way it will then be for their family. But you want to do it as early as possible, because the slightest problem, high blood pressure, something else, whatever it is, and we have medical conditions, it could preclude you from getting an insurance policy on your life or the life of your loved one. And so that very strategy, Mom, that you just mentioned will be useless if you don't do it early before you develop a condition.
Wow.
And so I'm thinking, Tish, it's a scam that comes to me all the time. These insurance companies saying, you don't have to have a doctor's approval. You don't have to do this at any age. You can still get this.
It's a lie. It's a lie, because even if they were to give you some kind of guaranteed issue amount, it will be very low, but you have to be under a certain age. And I don't remember if it's 84 or whatever the case may be, but to get anything significant, you have to have a doctor's let me put it this way. There's a database that they can look in and see every condition that you have. So maybe it's true that you don't have to have, a physical, because they already know. We
have a question.
I have to say something that I know the lady that got this insurance, and she didn't live long, but it was a high price she had to pay.
Oh yeah. The older you are,
a lot of money.
The more expensive it is. And, long-term care insurance, we don't plan for long-term care, and we're living longer with more illnesses. But long-term care insurance, when I just started working and just had gotten married, was $800 per person per pay. So I didn't buy it. 800. So it would have been $1,600 for me and my husband per pay.
Good Lord.
So you have long-term care insurance and no house. How good is that? So it's, certain things cannot be done. So you have to make sure that you look at other ways of dealing with it. And so it may not be that you can purchase a long-term care policy, but you can save. You can save through maybe a 401k or a 457, whatever it is. You can save. We should have an attorney, an accountant, a financial advisor, and a spiritual advisor as our advisory board. And when you have that, all aspects of your life will be cared for. And so whenever I have a family that comes to me to do their estate plan, and I'm looking at things, I reach out to my partner, who is an accountant and does estate accounting, so that she and I could sit and look at the estate and see how can we best position this family to either minimize taxes or to do the things that will benefit their family the most. Then the financial advisor, how should we, do this and move that? And so you cannot just make these decisions without being informed.
Yeah. We have a question. It said, is term better than whole life insurance?
I can't say one is better than the other, but what I'll say to you is that term is term. So when that term is up, it's up. And whole life could be expensive. So it really does depend on your situation and what you are trying to accomplish. I'd rather that question really be answered by the life insurance agent, and then also it be specific to the person, because there could be something that you need to accomplish or what have you, but it's not so much better. It's which one is cost efficient, which one is cost efficient and would achieve the goal that you have set aside for yourself.
Right.
Well, Paulette, we just thank you so much for being on. We have to bring you back.
Oh my goodness, I'd love to come back. Thank you guys so much.
We really thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It's my pleasure. I just want every family to do what they need to do to protect themselves, their loved ones, and their legacy. It's so important because people cannot grieve and make decisions at the same time. And then it just would avoid family conflict. You would have peace, protection, and who doesn't want peace and protection? So that is really important. But thank you guys for
thank you so much.
Important enough topic to bring it up. God bless you and have a wonderful day.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. Get rid of me. I don't even know how to get out. Just get rid of me. Okay.
We loved it.
Wow. I was going into the pet peeves, but that was so rich.
Information. So great information.
It was kind of scary at the same time because we got work to do.
I know.
She just showed us our inadequacies. Like, I know this is a pet peeve time, and that's my pet peeve. Not being prepared. Like when people die and leave here, they didn't prepare their family, and then people are struggling. So that's one of my pet peeves when I hear people saying, I don't know how I'm gonna bury my loved one because I don't have the finances, I don't have the money, we didn't have insurance. And so it's so important, Virtual Land, for you to get insurance, get some life insurance. Like she said, an attorney, an accountant, advisor, and a spiritual advisor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a pet peeve.
Okay, go ahead.
My pet peeve is that, and when you have all this money, got a good job, and you say, I'm not getting insurance because I won't be here to know anyway. So, and then they leave. They knowingly leave that behind, and I've known this to happen. For their loved ones to scramble and get their money. They got good money, a good job, and squandered it on trips and everything. When they die, they have no insurance. And then I heard some say, well, that's in my business. Get out of my business. Then they'll say, well, the church can take care of it. No, we in your business when we do that.
It is our business. I'm like, I was saying like one time, it was like the way you eat is our business. Because if something happens and you go in the hospital, then we got to take care of you. So it's my business. So I got to adjust my schedule. So when they say, go ahead. Brent said, great show. We have to get our life together. Did I say this? I can't stand it when people in the grocery store wait and can't find their money when it's time to pay. When it's time to pay, you get your money out. Stuff ain't free.
Really, Brent? Really, Brent?
So yeah, like they say, like Cherise has this book, and it says, "Go get your life."
Yeah, go get your life.
Go get your life. So anybody else want to have a pet peeve, Mel? You have a pet peeve?
Yes. My pet peeve is when someone transitions and there is no will or trust, whatever.
Yeah.
People start fighting over stuff, and they just become mean and evil to one another. And I mean, it's just so horrible that they just turn to a whole nother different person that you didn't think they were, but they probably were all along, but, and then it can cause a family feud, that's a huge pet peeve. Like she said, get your life together so you don't have to go through that.
because she was saying money magnifies who you are, and
That's right. That's
Right. Yeah.
And I was thinking almost along the same lines as Tawanda was talking about, because some people would choose to be cremated, and they probably, have told their loved ones what their desire is, whatever, but it's not in writing. It's not documented, and
Yeah.
we don't have proof of it. It's just your word,
It.
right? Your word against someone else's.
Oh,
So you know what I'm
I got
saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give
Then
you
they
my-
say, I'm not going to cremate you because that's not, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to do it. Like, you can't be selfish enough to say you don't want to do something if that's somebody else's wish,
Right.
their wishes.
Right.
You know what my pet peeve is? When you get somebody to take care of your affairs when they're not equipped to do it. Just because my oldest child or somebody is in the church and they don't have a clue, they're not equipped to do it. And
Right.
it's better to have a real close friend like a David and Jonathan, than to have somebody that's related that's going to waste stuff. Because I know they left their home behind, paid for, and it went up in drugs. You know what I'm saying? You lived in your family,
And you know who they are. You know your people.
Right.
But
I have
you
another.
love them. But we don't think like that. That's my relative. I'm gonna just give it to them.
Right. I have another pet peeve. This is what I heard of, and it's so frustrating. I mean, I've never experienced it, but it's like when someone passes away and they leave all of their assets to an animal, or you know what I'm saying, not to their family members. They might leave it to I don't want
Snoopy.
That organization, what's it called? Something
an
CP or
organization, and not the family.
yeah. To help other animals.
Yes, organization, and it's another huge organization that they leave their money to and don't even worry about their family sometimes.
And some people leave it to their churches. A lot of mega ministries have people, they have their wills and trust of some of their members. And I think a church should say, is the family taken care of?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they take advantage of those people.
Yeah. Because your money not going to get you in heaven. You can leave me your house. I can't get you into heaven.
Another pet peeve is people say they don't have help, and everybody get together with their family and give them money for this funeral and everything. Then next thing you see, they're off someplace at a beach having a party. And they say, nevertheless, no doubt they had a policy too. They just didn't put it up.
That's a huge pet peeve. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
And my pet peeve is, and this was when Dad transitioned, and we were talking about BG&E. Like, I think if you were with a company for years and all that kind of stuff, that you should, think about their family. You know what I mean? You knew they have a pension or something like that. I don't think it should be like, you can't have this pension of this person because your name isn't on it. That's what she was talking about, probate court. But if it happens, we need to fight for it, because when we keep giving up stuff to people and don't fight, they'll continuously do that stuff.
You don't know. See, you don't know. People are going to tell you stuff. They're not going to tell you things.
Yeah. You should ask that question. Can you fight? Do you have a legitimate fight? That's what we should ask that question. Yeah.
Well, that's why we have this, information now, so we know what we need to do. Right. Get that trust and put all that stuff in writing. Know what your assets are. And one of the things, and it's not a pet peeve, we still continuing in.
I love it. Pet peeve. It's not
need to hear this.
What she said?
But one of the things that was mentioned last night, because she taught about this at Bible study, and I really do respect the pastor, who allow her to take the time to speak about getting our affairs and things in order, because she was using biblical principles. Right. So that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So, you know, we having all these things in line, but I was thinking about I can't even remember what I was going to say. I can't remember what I was going to say. I was talking too much. Hopefully it'll come back to me.
It'll come back. I wanted to say, and it's not a pet peeve, but I know when I was working and Dominique was young and I was single. So what I did was put mommy down as my beneficiary, trusting her enough to know if anything happened to me, she'll definitely take care of Dominique. So just not having no one on there, she was saying how it goes into probate court. You got to put somebody on your insurance, you know, as a beneficiary at work. Don't leave that spot blank. Start talking to your family members, seeing which one will be responsible enough to help your children if you have children, you know, when you pass. Not anybody greedy and take all your money and don't care about whether your children have shoes or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, don't leave that blank.
That's a pet peeve.
It is a pet peeve.
It came back to me, you guys.
Okay.
I was just thinking about one of the things that she mentioned last night was everybody have assets, you know, and you don't really realize it. It's not always a car or a house or anything. You have clothes, you have, you know, your bank account, you have, you know, things like that you have. So it was good that, you know, that she was talking about this last night. You can take inventory of everything that you have, and that's why you do need an attorney to help you think outside the box.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just see how much it would be. You may have to invest in an attorney, you know, put some money aside or whatever so that you can get an attorney to put your things in, you know, your affairs in order.
So lady said, just to help those who don't have anything or can't get anything, if you donate your body to the state anatomy board, they will cremate your body and give it back to you for free.
You mean
but you know what I heard? I heard there was even some money attached to that too. Because when I was working, the lady gave me information where I could do that for free. Just give my body to medical science.
Right.
And they would take care of everything. But then after that, I heard it was a fee attached to it.
Oh,
but you know, some things we can do, like get your stuff in order now. Like on your
cremate your own loved one's body like they did on those shows.
No.
Put them in a boat, set them on fire, and let them swim off in it. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
That's what
I'm talking like the bank accounts and stuff. You know, you need signatures on stuff right now.
Can we do that though? Can we do that if our loved one passed and we don't have no money? Can we like go to
jail for that? No.
Well, that's our business though.
That's not your business. No.
I'm saying
here's my thing. So after you give your body to science or whatever to be cremated, what are you going to put it in? A plastic bag or a cup? I mean,
your body.
Because those urns are expensive too.
Those urns and they weren't at first. It was so reasonable to cremate yourself, to get cremated and those urns. But when it became popular, it's just as expensive as a regular funeral now.
Yes. Those prices, that's right.
But all you gotta do is go to the Goodwill store and find a real good vase.
Don't play like that.
Mom,
I'm serious.
What if you bury your loved one in your backyard? You gonna go to jail for that too?
No, lady. No, you can do it at your house.
I don't know. I ain't saying nothing out there.
But lady said that's a decision that she and her mom made, and it didn't cost her anything. So she actually did it.
Oh, that's excellent.
It didn't cost her anything.
Okay.
And somebody said, "What's going to be left of your body after they play around with it, though?" LOL.
No,
she said yes. It was a bag in a box. They gave her mom's ashes. It was a bag in a box. But somebody else was saying it was when they finished playing with your body, what's going to be left? No, they're going to cremate it. I wish I knew who was on there.
Because we had a member of our church. His job was to burn them up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know a young lady, her mom was cremated. She wanted her organs donated to science. But
Brenda asked me, did I lose my mind? She said, have you lost your mind?
But you can put that on your license to Wanda.
What's that?
You put that on your
Organ donor.
license that you donate your organs.
I'm an organ donor.
Don't put that on your license.
Y'all can't have my right eye yet until God healed me, because
Goodness.
other
If you
stuff.
put it, they're not gonna save you. If you put that on, because that's what I heard. If you put it on your license and stuff, or you have those tags, they're not gonna try to save you because they want that.
You. Are you serious?
That's what
They
I
want
heard.
the what?
They want those
Who told you
organs.
that?
I don't know. That's what I heard.
Who wants the organs?
Get it from the internet. Didn't Paulette say stay away from the internet?
I didn't hear no internet.
So
No.
thank y'all so much for tuning in
Oh, wow.
to our show. It was a very good show. Actually, I'm gonna put her website up there because there are a lot of frequently asked questions. If y'all have any, and you could probably also reach out to her. But we just want all of our listeners in virtual land to get things in order.
Yes.
You know, yeah, she says she's not. Brenda says she's not coming to visit us in jail, though. Oh, yeah, so thank you so much. We're going to try to get her back. I know some people have other questions about trademarks, and since she's an attorney, she has all that other information. But our show today was about will and testament, so we couldn't really go into. But we appreciate your question, whoever asked in virtual land.
Got the information to Tisha to put on there.
Yes, so I'm going to put the information in the description, so y'all can go back and support her. Maybe you need to hire her as an attorney or something like that. And her husband, he's an insurance agent. I put that down too. I was like, okay, I got two resources.
What a team, right?
Thank y'all so much. Have a great weekend. God bless you, and we will see y'all next week. Take care.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.